Hey, let's talk for a minute. Let's get off this sucker for a second. I want to tell me about the die-cast cars.
They're a band that I've worked with. They're from New Jersey. They have all the warts and the grit of some of these kind of underground punk bands from past times. And I know that you made a documentary on punk rock music.
I covered a lot of what was going on in New York, and especially in Astoria. Astoria was very big back in the early 2000s, late 1990s, early 2000s for pop punk music. There were bands such as, well, I mentioned Triple Bypass before, and then there was a band called the Shy Guys, which came from the
Dirt Bike Annie.
Dirt Bike Annie, and
with our friend Heth played drums at that.
Heth played. He replaced Mike Janich, who was the drummer for the band, and then Heth came in, and Mikey Erg, I call him Mikey Erg because his band was called the Ergs. Which are reuniting for some new shows actually coming out soon. And what I was thinking with the die-cast cars, are they like, so you say they're kind of rough. They're like, they're down and dirty.
Well, their recordings, they want to kind of have the aesthetic of not being perfectly assembled in the recording studio. They want it to be a little shifty and edgy. They break the rules. I like the fact that they're just being who they are, and they're trying to get the essence and the message of the song across. Tom Lucas, who runs Laughing Boy Productions, he's recorded their stuff, and he's got a great ear. And it's just fun to be working on music like this. It's where everything isn't just pieced together in a computer, where it actually sounds like people getting together and making some noise.
I've heard of Laughing Boys. Where are they? Are they in New Jersey?
They're in New Jersey, South Orange.
So they went in, they recorded this EP.
They've recorded a lot of stuff, a lot of singles over the years and other EPs.
You know what kills me? It really bugs me especially when I was working on the documentary. There were some incredibly talented people, really, like. And you wonder, you're listening to their stuff and you're like, why isn't the rest of the world hearing about this stuff? Why aren't they on the Billboard charts? Why aren't they selling? How come they can't get a decent record deal that doesn't destroy them financially? And it's, I've heard like Dirt Bike Annie was one of my favorites, and so was the Ergs, and also my friend Hallie and her band, the Unlovables. These people should have been up there. Especially at the time when it hit its peak. That kind of music hit its peak probably, I want to say, 2004. Because that was the year that Green Day's American Idiot came out. And that was one of the best albums to come out that year. Mm-hmm. And the Ergs' Dork Rock Cork Rod, which is really hard to say, is one of the great pop punk albums of all time. It's an album I still listen to because I love it, and I recorded them.
You should put a link to it in the show notes.
I will. Okay, I will. They could, if they're making money off of it, they could use it.
Yeah.
They had this major blowout at CBGB. It was back when CBGB was still around. We went in there with our cameras. We recorded like these 4 bands that got up on stage. And the crowd was so electric, and it was just incredible. It was packed. And
what year was this? If you had to, you could remember,
this had to have been 2003. I want to say,
okay,
either 2002 or 2003, because it took me 3 years to make that movie because it was just so much footage. Actually, it took me 2 years to shoot it and a year to edit it because there was just so much footage of everything. We were all over the place. We went, oh God, do you know this recording studio I think it was in Hoboken? Ah, damn. I forget his name. Too.
I know the one. Waterfront or Water Sound?
Yeah, it's Water Studio, something like that. It's something with the word water in it. Rob Grenoble was a producer over there. And the band Ween used to record there. And I met those guys while they were recording something in another room. And it's just a big kind of like factory. Well, it looks like a warehouse on the outside, but on the inside it's all nice and decorated and everything. Really nice recording facilities.
You shot in there?
Yeah, we shot in there. We did interview footage in there. We talked to Rob, the producer. We talked to the band. Just lots of stuff. I'll eventually.
Yeah, that was a good sounding room.
I will one day get all that because I have the playback thing for it. I can and I can put it up on YouTube and everybody can see. There are some bits in there on YouTube already that were put out, but I will eventually get that whole thing out there. I got some really good reviews for it and some not so good reviews just from people who didn't like the music. Somebody actually wrote a review saying, this may be one of the great documentaries I've ever seen, but I'm not really a fan of pop punk music, so 2 stars, which is just sucks because I'm trying to tell a story about these kids. These are all kids. They were all younger than me. They were all like in their teens putting bands together and sounding incredibly tight. You know, and that's the one thing that you really want when you're looking at a band. You don't want something that sounds like you got 4 or 5 different guys and gals all from different bands just coming together and just jamming or something. You want something tight. You want them to work together and play off of each other and anticipate each other. You know, that's music, man. That's
speaking.
I don't care how you record it. I don't care how you could do it with a boombox, like I said, and a cassette tape. If you sound tight, it's going to sound good, you know?
Yeah. The music industry is just it's such a bizarre thing these days.
It doesn't exist. I mean, like, there's no music industry. It's all the same thing. We can have a good laugh.
By the way, the studio is still there, I think. Water Music.
Water Music, yes. Water Music. That is what it is. It is Water Music. That's what it's called. Yeah,
Yola Tango recorded there. The DBs, Joe Jackson, Freddie Johnson.
Okay, can I tell you? I only know maybe one name in this. I'm looking at a list. Okay, a couple of names here.
Well, Matthew Sweet.
Matthew Sweet
Bob
recorded?
Mould of Husker Du. You've heard of them.
Did you say Matthew Sweet recorded there too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have a good history. Marshall Crenshaw. They've had a lot of people in there. I'm pretty sure that Hef actually... from our friend Hef. His older
I'd love to get
band.
him on. I only, it's weird.
Yeah.
I'm like I have like either a step relationship with him or an in-law relationship with him because I only know him through other people. You know, it's like I knew he came in to replace Mike Janich on Dirt Bike Annie, and because Janich had to go on tour with his own band. Mike Janich is in 100 bands. He was a drummer for 100 bands, so he was very busy all the time. But he's like one of the greatest drummers ever. He would just come in, do his drum parts, and then the producers would just arrange the songs around his drums.
That's cool.
Which is, because this guy had timing. Like, the nearest comparison would be 2 jackrabbits fucking. This is how this guy played the drums. So Heth came in and he went on tour with Dirt Bike Annie. They did this whole thing in a van. They went all across the country and even to other places. I think he might have even gone to Europe with them.
You should have him on.
I would love to have him. But it's so weird that I run into you because Mark introduces us and we do our movie and you know these people too. So it's a weird kind of thing. That's kind of like an in-law relation.
Yeah, I know. It is. It's a funny coincidence. Hef had a band in the 90s called Stately Wayne Manor with his brother.
That's a great name. I love it.
I believe they recorded at Water Studios, Water Music. They recorded like a 3-song EP, 3 or 4 songs, and it was excellent.
There were a couple of really nice studios. There was one over here, right here in Astoria. My friend Tony ran called Ragnarok. It was on Steinway. And it was in the basement of a building. He totally
long gone.
Yeah, he went upstate and he took all of his stuff with him upstate and turned his big house into a studio. So he has like this big house in Sullivan County, and we shot up there. I shot a movie up there because it was a really nice piece of property, and he let me do it. Now, what's great about it is the Water Music and also Tony at Ragnarok. If they knew you didn't have any money, they would give you really good deals. They would give you really good rates. If they knew you had money, they would charge an arm and a leg because you've got the money.
Right.
But they existed mainly because they got good word of mouth from other people they worked with that they helped the little guys out. So that's good. And you do that too. I noticed you do that too. If you're dealing with kids, you'll give them nice rates.
I might be a little more efficient with my time, depending on the budget.
One more thing I want to ask you about. Bob D.
Oh yeah, Bob
with
D.
Petro. He did a cover of Wild Horses. That's the Rolling Stone song, right? All right. What can you tell me about this? And I'll put on a little bit of it while you're talking about it.
It's just a completely different interpretation. Big, heavy, modernized version of the song. His latest EPs and singles are just sounding amazing. He's working with a lot of really ace mixing engineers and putting together these great sounding productions. He has a way when he sings of really kind of engaging you with the vocal.
Mm-hmm.
He wraps his vocal kind of around the melody in a certain way that I find it's really original, and it's his own distinctive sound. There are a lot of singers you hear where, especially if you listen to stuff like, the pop world, like American Idol, where all the singers kind of they all try to do a similar style. They sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice when you hear a singer who just sounds like them.
I'm listening to a little bit of it right now.
Yeah. And
it's pretty good. It kind of reminds me a little bit of, I don't know, like from the 80s, I want to say. Kind of like hard rock from the 80s, something along the lines of something like Heart or Bad English.
Bob D's music is definitely in the hard rock pop genre, I guess. I don't know who he compares himself to. Maybe I think there are some references to Cheap Trick.
Maybe a little bit of Cheap Trick, but also maybe a little bit of Alice Cooper. He's got kind of that Only Women Bleed screeching kind of voice. He kind of sounds like that.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, he's a very striking looking man here.
He's great. He's a great guy. He's got quite a stage persona.
Mm.
And, the last session where he came in, he was telling me about his tours in Japan.
They love that stuff. They love that stuff in Asia. They like that stuff that is intrinsically American for the most part. If you go on listening to the kind of music that comes out of there, and then something comes along that's different, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Right.
Kind of like the way punk was in the early days. Punk was this thing that came from the coasts. It came from New York and it came from L.A. L.A. punk kind of turned into this kind of hard rock stuff that you would see later on. But New York punk was like this stuff that was like in the early 70s. You had a band like the New York Dolls and that kind of stuff coming out, and it was really dangerous sounding.
Yeah. Did you ever listen to Bad Brains?
Yeah, I did. I listened to Bad Brains. Yeah.
Yeah. I found a couple of videos of theirs, like just video clips of some of their shows, and
Bad Brains was very. It was what you would call thrash. It was like it was hardcore. And they're still around, by the way. Bad Brains. It's so weird. Yeah. What was the name of that song that I used to play?
They were
constantly?
from DC, and hardcore punk, black guys, doing hardcore punk.
Yeah.
And they really had something going on. Their live shows were explosive.
Yes, it was the quickness that I used to listen to all the time. That song.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this up, shall we?
Okay. So cool, man. Thanks. It was great. It was fun. We got into some interesting discussions.
It was good.
You always have a lot to say.
This is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly the kind of conversation I wanted.
Childhood living, it's easy to do.